Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on HD Pocket. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 best decks to use in Ranked Season 2 for Pokemon TCG Pocket. Let's get into it. So, starting things off, the first deck that we're going to be taking a look at today is the new Beedril x Meowscarada deck. So the deck profile or the deck list of this is 2 Sprigatito, 1 Florigato, 2 Meowscarada, 1 Weedle, 1 Kakuna, 1 Beedril EX, 2 Professor Research, 1 Sabrina, 1 Iono, 1 Red, 1 Cyrus, 1 Guzma, 2 Rare Candies, 1 Pokeball, and then 2 Leaf Capes. So it might shock you that you're only running 1 Pokeball in this deck, but the best thing about Sprigatito is that its ability basically gives you a grass-type Pokemon with its move Cry for Help. Put 1 random grass Pokemon from your deck into your hand, so you're basically getting a Pokeball every single turn, but the better kind of version of it, because you're not just getting a basic Pokemon. You could get Beedril, you could get Florigato, you could get Meowscarada, Kakuna, etc, etc. So that's why you run 2 Sprigatito. You're only running 1 Florigato as well, because this deck runs Rare Candy, 2 of them. Again, this deck, just like a lot of other Stage 2 decks, are just utilizing this new card. It's changing the meta, making just decks like this so much more viable. Meowscarada, obviously one of the best cards in this deck because of what it can do to EX Pokemon. So if your opponent's active Pokemon is an EX Pokemon, this attack does 70 more damage. So you're doing 130 damage there for 2 grass energy from Meowscarada, which is very, very broken. 140 HP as well. Not an EX card either, so you don't have to worry about giving 2 points away if you do knock one out. On the other side of things as well, you're running a Beedril EX, which of course is an EX, so you will lose 2 points if this gets knocked out. But being able to do 80 damage with 2 grass energy, and also discarding a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, you can get this online super quick. If you get Weedle in your opening hand and like Rare Candy and Beedril, and then you obviously get like a Leaf Cape or something, you can get a 190 HP Beedril out straight away, really, with 2 energy. You're going to be able to, if you go second, by your second turn, you're going to be able to do 80 damage with 190 HP mon and discard energy off their active Pokemon, which is absolutely broken. It's crazy. It's so good. And then, of course, the other cards in this deck are just kind of basically building on that. So obviously the 2 Professor Research is just going to be in every single deck. Sabrina, just to swap Pokemon out. Iono, just in case you get like the worst opening hand. Maybe you get like, I don't know, Weedle, Florigato, and then like other stuff that you just don't really want. That's why Iono is in the deck. Red to obviously do an extra bit of damage to EX Pokemon, especially paired well with Meowscarada, because you're then doing 150 damage to an EX card. Cyrus is in this deck, just obviously to swap out Pokemon. Guzma is very useful in this meta, just getting rid of all the kind of Pokemon tools and stuff that you might be facing. And then, of course, Leaf Cape is just a better kind of giant cape, because you're getting 30 HP on grass Pokemon. So Grass-type decks getting even more support this time around. Really, really cool. It's a really broken deck. It's won tournaments. All the decks that I'm showcasing today have won tournaments recently, so it's not just a deck that I put together, it's one that I've taken from tournament winnings, but either way, that is the new Meowscarada and Beedril deck. Coming up next, we have Darkrai and Giratina. It is still one of the best decks in the game right now, even with all of the additions to the current meta. Obviously, this just gets absolutely walled by the Oricorio, because obviously it can't get damaged by EX Pokemon. So if you're coming up against that, it's just an instant retreat, or concede, should I say. But yeah, the deck goes as follows. So 2 Darkrai EX, 2 Giratina EX, 2 Professor Research, 1 Cyrus, 1 Sabrina, 1 Leaf, 1 Mars, 1 Pokemon Center Lady, 1 Red, 1 Team Rocket Grunt, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Potions, 2 Giant Capes, and then 1 Rocky Helmet as well. And you're doing exactly what you've always done. You've got Darkrai on the bench, Giratina in the active spot. You're doing damage with Darkrai whilst getting energy every turn on Giratina, and then obviously you're going to start doing massive damage with Giratina or Darkrai, depending on what your like kind of setup is. And then everything else in this deck is just to kind of get these Pokemon online even quicker. Team Rocket's obviously to get your opponent to hopefully lose some energy, even though it doesn't usually work that often. It's not a great card in my opinion. It's so RNG based that you could use it, get Tails, and then you also can't use another trainer card that turn. So yeah, it can be great, and you can lose like 3 energies on your opponent's active Pokemon, but a lot of the time that's just not going to happen. Of course, Cyrus is in this deck, Mars, Sabrina. It's basically the exact same deck that it was last season, so I'm not going to go over it too much because it's exactly the same, but it's still one of the best decks in the game. Obviously gets destroyed by Oricorio. A lot of people are running that Oricorio deck just for a bit of banter and stuff, just because it just absolutely walls decks like these. But either way, that's the Darkrai Giratina deck. Coming up next, we have the Charizard deck. So for this deck profile, you're running 2 Charmander, 1 Charmeleon, 2 Charizard EX, and of course, this is the other Charizard EX. This is not the one from the original set. You're running 2 Iono, 2 Professor Research, 2 Lily, 1 Pokemon Center Lady, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, 1 Red, 2 rare candies, 1 Pokeball, and then also 2 giant capes as well. So it's another deck where you're only running 1 Pokeball because, again, if you do kind of draw that Charmander, like both of them turn 1, and then obviously you draw the Pokeball, you're not going to really benefit from it because the Pokeball won't find anything else. But that's why you're only running 1 and not 2, because if you do get those 2 Charmanders in your opening hand and then you draw 2 Pokeballs, it's just 2 wasted draws. So 1's only really needed in this deck. And again, if you don't get a great opening hand, you've got Iono for it anyway. Because really in that opening hand, you're looking for a Charmander, a Charizard, and a rare candy. And then you're kind of set, because obviously you just lead with Charmander and then you evolve it with rare candy straight into Charizard. And then you can just use Stoke for 1 fire energy, which you're going to have anyway. Get 3 energy onto Charizard, then you have 4 energy. And if you go second, that's 4 energy on turn 2 on Charizard, which is just absolutely broken. And then with 1 more energy, you're then dealing 150 damage on everything, which is just absolutely broken. So this deck is seeing a lot of usage in the meta. It's a very good deck. Obviously runs 2 Professor Research, just as every deck does. Lily's very useful in this deck as well, because it heals 60 HP on a stage 2 Pokemon. So if your Charizard's taking a little bit of damage, you just Lily it, 60 HP back, can Lily it again for another 60 HP. And if that's not enough, you're running the Pokemon Center Lady as well to get 30 HP and to remove status conditions as well. There's a few cards in this new set which deal a lot of status conditions, such as a Alolan Muck, stuff like that. So it's very useful. Just if you do come up against that, you get like poisoned or whatever, because you're not really going to be swapping Charizard out really, unless you have another Charizard on your bench that's ready to go. But most of the time, you're just going to have 1 in the active spot, and that's just dealing all the damage and taking all the damage as well. So if it does get poisoned or whatever, then it's good to have that Pokemon Center Lady just to get rid of it. And then Sabrina, Cyrus, Red, just to do more damage. 2 rare candies, obviously useful. And then 1 Pokeball, and then 2 giant cape as well to get 200 HP on this Charizard. It's a really fun deck. I definitely recommend it. It's solid for getting Charizard online so quick. And again, you're not losing any energy once you get the 150 damaging move off, unlike the other Charizard. So you can then start building up the other Charizard on your bench. So yeah, massive fan of this deck in the current meta. Coming up next, we have the Decidueye EX deck. So the deck profile goes as follows: 2 Sprigatito, 1 Florigato, 2 Meowscarada, 1 Rowlet, 1 Dartrix, 1 Decidueye EX, 2 Ericas, 2 Professor Research, 1 Mars, 2 Pokeballs, 2 rare candies, 1 Pokemon Communication, and then 2 Leaf Capes as well. So I'm a little bit unsure why they're running 2 Erica in this deck, because yeah, it does deal 50 HP to one of your grass types, but Lily does kind of, it heals more to a stage 2 Pokemon. You're getting an extra 10 HP there, so I'm unsure why they're running this. Again, I didn't make this deck. If I was making it, I'd probably put Lily in. Yes, you can get 50 HP back on Florigato or Dartrix or something like that, but being able to get 60 HP is just, that extra 10 HP could be very useful. But either way, I'm just going off what the deck shows. But yeah, very similar to the Beedril deck, but of course, this time you're running the Decidueye lineup instead of Beedril, and this card is absolutely cracked. You can pierce the Pain for 2 colorless energy, which does 100 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon that has damage on it. So that's absolutely broken, because you can do like 10 damage with like, I don't know, one of your Pokemon. Well, no, there's actually no card in this deck that deals 10 damage, but you could deal like Razor Wing, let's say, for 30, and then you can start dealing 100 to anything. And then you also, for 2 energy, can hit with Razor Leaf, which does 80 damage, which is just so good. Apart from Rowlet, actually, it does 10 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So Rowlet and Decidueye is just, they're absolutely ridiculous. They work so well together. Obviously, it's the same evolution line. 2 Professor Research, 1 Mars. Again, I'd probably just throw like a Lily in there instead of Mars or something. I think Lily would be more beneficial for more healing on Decidueye and stuff. 2 Pokeball, 2 rare candies, 1 Pokemon Communication, and then of course 2 Leaf Capes as well. It's just beneficial in the grass decks. Again, you're running 2 different stage 2 lines here, but with the rare candies and stuff, it just makes life so much easier. And this deck just absolutely runs through a lot of decks right now. It's absolutely broken, just like Beedrillers as well. I like both variations of it. Whichever one you like more, obviously you go with that one. But yeah, this is a solid deck in the current meta, and yeah, Decidueye is, I think, gonna absolutely run through ranked this season. Finishing things off though for our last deck for today's video, we have the Solgaleo EX and the Skarmory deck. So the deck profile is 2 Cosmog, 1 Cosmoem, 2 Solgaleo EX, 2 Skarmory, 2 Professor Research, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, 1 Mars, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Rare Candies, 2 Giant Capes, and then 2 Rocky Helmets as well. So the main purpose of this deck is just to get Solgaleo online as quick as possible, and whilst you're doing that, Skarmory's in that kind of active spot doing 50 damage with Metal Arms every single turn, because once you get a tool attached to it like the Giant Cape or the Rocky Helmet, you're then doing a lot more damage, and then with Giant Cape you're on 100 HP. And if you don't have the Giant Cape and you have the Rocky Helmet instead, then you're doing kind of 70 damage over the course of the 2 turns as well, which is quite a lot for only 1 Steel Energy. And then whilst that's going on, obviously you've got Solgaleo EX on your bench kind of getting powered up until you can use the move Soul Breaker. Rising Road is very useful because it allows you to bring in Solgaleo for free. You do not have to worry about any kind of retreat cost, so you can keep that energy on Skarmory. And then the rest of the deck just kind of goes as follows. Obviously the Rare Candies for Cosmog into Solgaleo, Pokeballs to find Cosmog or Skarmory, and then obviously Cyrus, Sabrina just to swap Pokemon out, and then like I say, Rare Candy is just a necessity in this deck. A lot of decks are running Mars now, so again, it's personal preference. Obviously you could run maybe a Lily in there instead to heal Solgaleo, who will have 200 HP after a Giant Cape, but again, a lot of attacks do a lot of damage now in this meta, and there's a lot of heals as well. So if you do 120 to a Pokemon and then they heal with Lily, you've only done 60, which again is not a lot, especially when you've got Pokemon that are going to have like 200 HP. So yeah, maybe that's why Mars is in there, just to obviously destroy people's hands to get rid of like Lilies and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of heals on wheels going on in this current meta. But either way, that's the last deck that I wanted to go over in today's video. Like I said, I didn't make any of these. It was all taken from decks that have won tournaments recently, so you can try them out, see which ones work well for you. Obviously the new ranked season is now live, so best of luck with that. Hopefully these decks do help you hit that Master Ball rank. But if you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, ring the notification bell. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, peace.